back with the mat that started it all, baby. Hey guys, I know I haven't posted anything in a while. Well, I can't say I just got back from Georgia, but just got back from Georgia. Getting like acclimated back into the work schedule, and just trying to find the time to make video and like produce content. And I say this as I literally just accidentally deleted 2 videos that I recorded at locals, but it's cool. We still have this video right here. I wanted to do something kind of interesting. I wanted to profile all 3 of the decks that my team took to the Georgia event in like one video, because you know it was a team event, so it would make sense to like do it like in one video. I thought it would be a really cool idea. And we didn't top, like we weren't even close. We got like, oh well, no, I'd say we were pretty close. We got like 16th place. We got top 16. We went X2, so we weren't one of the X2s that made it in, just because, you know, just like the matchups and the points and all that good stuff. But it was my first event, and one of my other teammates, it was his first SPRINGFEST as well. So I was like, oh, you know what? I think for our first one, we did pretty good for our first one. So I'm like, you know what? I really can't complain. We had a good time. Like, I didn't really like rage. None of us in the team like raged or like were like disappointed. Like, I felt like, you know, we just like overall had a good time. So anyways, getting into the deck. So our team was number 43. Like, if anybody had the sheet, like, you could look it up, like, oh, you a liar, you did not get 16, you were last. Like, nah, like we did. Yeah, I guess we'll get it in. I was seat A, so I guess I'll just go over my Baromagnus deck profile first. Radically different than what I previously put on this channel. That was more of a build, more like trying to consistently get to the 15 and like all that good jazz, while this build was more of like, I'm just trying to kill you. I think I'll leave these here. I think I'll put them like right there. How does that look? It look good? Yeah, it looks pretty good. So this was like more of like I was just trying to like end you type of build. Like, basically our team decided that we would build our decks, like, since it is a best of 1 format, but you would do best of 3s. We're like, oh, let's just build our decks towards a best of 1. So like I built my deck like slightly high roll. Like, I didn't play as many soul charge cards as I liked. So I put in more like finisher cards on top of what Baromagnus already does, which is wipe your board and swing at you 5 times. But yeah, standard Baromagnus ride line. Really nothing much to say about that. Getting onto the main deck, maxing out on 4 of the Soul Charge 4 order. Pandemonium. I never found myself using this during the whole day, like more than once. Like, usually, even if I didn't have like the whole soul, like usually proccing this ability once, even though you're not always at like 15, like you'll like usually see another piece that'll get you there. And then I run 4 of Magician Curtis, just, you know, want to maximize on your heavy soul charge cards. I actually do have to separate as soul charge cards first, and then the tech cards that I did play instead of like extra soul charge cards or like other tech cards that I normally would play in the deck. Yeah, funny thing that complete side note, like I'll be putting the deck codes in the description if I can get them from the registration sheet. But side note, Baromagnus is actually like, if you like read the lore, which I have, there's not much lore, so like you could just like catch up on it really quick. Baromagnus is kind of like a mercenary, like you know, odd jobs for hire, and he kind of like works for Curtis, and like Curtis's goal is to just like, you know, like rebuild his circus, and I thought that was kind of cool. Well, anyways, to the deck profile, 4 copies of your countercharger. Just like the on hit pressure did come up. Did it come up today? It did. I think my opponent just let it hit because he didn't have the guard to guard it regardless. But that on hit pressure, like if you don't have the 15, you know, they were like, hey, you gonna let this hit, especially if you have a brain swirler behind her. You just kind of like, your opponent's like regretting like life. But you want to maximize on that is your countercharger. It's a very counterblast heavy deck. And then for the last soul charge card, do I want to move this up? Can I move this up without destroying it? I think I can. Is that good enough? I think that's good enough, yeah. And then for the last Soul Charge card we played in the deck is 4 Brainstorm. Oh wait, no. We're playing Soul Charge crits too. So like that did actually come up once where I had like 2 Soul Charge crits in hand. At the time, it felt like the right play to like force the 15, but the game was like, it looked like it was going to be like a longer game. What I should have done was keep those in hand and then just swing for the 2 crits. But that was really my mistake. It really, that was the only play I regretted the entire day. Where I was like, I could have done it differently, and the game would have been completely different. I don't know if I would have won, but it would have been completely different. But yeah, Brain Swirler is just like he's like the powerhouse of the deck. You really do want to maximize on it. Also, this really isn't a side note because this pertains to the deck profile. I'm not running any Persona rides. I want to maximize on, like I said, tech cards and like Soul Charge cards. So these are my, like, what is it, 16, technically 20 with the Soul Charge crit, Soul Charge cards that I do run in the deck. And then I'm running 4 of, I cannot pronounce his name, so I'm just going to call him Twin Sword like I did last time. Run 4 of Twin Sword. Twin Sword basically replaces Deep Sonicer. You still run the Deep Sonicer. This Deep Sonicer's like, it's part of the rod line, man. It's like you know, it's inherently a free card in your soul to call out, but you still run this just because the inherent plus power to the board. Like, running this at 4 is what prompted me to be like, I don't need Persona Ride. And like, honestly, in any of my games that I played while I was over there in SPRINGFEST, I didn't feel like I was missing Persona Ride, because beforehand I would have to either pitch the Persona Ride before I would be able to, or, you know, I would Soul Charge it, and I'd rather get a defensive card to hand like a PG or an Overtrigger than the Persona Ride, because most of the times that's exactly what I need to survive my opponent's turn. But that's why you're maxing out 4 copies of this. This also just lets you toolbox anything you want in the soul. It's literally, like, I consider like the most flexible card in the deck, because it just gets you anything that you're missing in your soul. And then going on to the tech cards, I run 6 tech cards. Most people only ran 2 copies of this card or no copies of this card, but I chose to run 4. 4 Gooman. Like I said, my build was just like more geared to try and like kill my opponent as fast as possible. And I realized whenever I resolved Gooman, I would either destroy my opponent's hand or win the game. So I was like, oh, in that retrospect, why don't I just play 4 of it, so I don't have to search it, I don't have to superior call it and hope it doesn't die on my next turn, because everyone and their mama has retire in this format, or like some form of removal. So that's the reason why I played Gooman at 4. If you see him in the early game, you generally pitch him, but like that's the idea of like, you run him at 4, so you do see him later on your turn 3, on your turn 4, to just make your opponent's life like really hard and saying like, yeah, you know, like the PG, like instead of 2 cards, you gotta give me 3 cards for that now. But that's why I'm maxing it out on 4. And this is like the only, this is the only card in the deck that I felt like didn't do anything. Everything else in this deck was perfect. Like literally in this slot, you could run anything, but I was running 2 Keenly Ludleys. This card did nothing for me. If anything, I felt like in the games that I was in a losing position, it made me lose harder, so to say, just because it shuffles your deck before, like it stacks your deck and shuffles your deck before you drive check, which is like really sucks. I wish it was the other way around, or like it was to the bottom of the deck, but you know, it isn't, and I understand why. But like the idea was that I would do, I know this is like a 3 Counterblast combo minimum, because Baromagnus plus Goobman and then plus Keenly Ludley was to do all 3 of these and basically make her, you know, like a 3-card PG or like an unguardable attack. But I never did that. I never had the opportunity to do that. There was like few instances where I did see her in soul, even though I do run her at 2, which is kind of weird, but like most of the time, like I wasn't needing her. I didn't feel like I needed her. If anything, it would have been better if she was like Persona Ride, like even though I really don't need Persona Ride, like Soul Charge cards, like if this was like Electro Spartans, I feel like I would have been better, because there was like a 1 or 2 games like I didn't see like the 15 on the first grade 3 ride. But yeah, that was the only card in the deck that I felt like didn't really do anything for me. The rest of the deck is just, you know, standard 4 PGs, 4 heals, And then I know people love to run like 8 crit, 6 crit, like 7 crit. I'm a very traditional type of guy. Like I like to stick with 8 crits if possible. Like I said, this is like best of 1. If I can just like crit you early game and put you in like 1 damage higher than what you want to be, or like 2 damage higher than what you want to be, or if you're forced to no guard my Vanguard, instead of 2 crits, it becomes 3 crits with like 3 damage you have to take. Say if you're at 2, now you're at 5. Or like if you're at 1, now you're at 4. Basically, if you're in the position of no guarding my Vanguard. So that's why I'm maxing out on the crits. Like I said, maxing out on the soul charge crits, it actually really does come in handy, because sometimes it is that 1 extra soul that you needed in the deck. And then I'm still very iffy on this. Like it came in handy, but other times it didn't really matter. I'm running 3 draws. The draws, like this, I feel like it could be player preference. The draws can be fronts. In all honesty, honestly, like maybe like I would prefer fronts over the draws, just so I have like a 20k shield I can search off of on Twin Sword. But I do understand the theory of the draws, just because you are a very combo heavy deck. Like sometimes you just need that conversion of 1 card into 2 cards, or if you damage check this, that +1 free card to your hand to do your combos, because you are discarding off your ride line. Well, like not discarding off your ride line, you're like putting a card from hand to soul off your ride line, and then you are discarding for Twin Sword. So like you kind of do need the draws, but like at the same time, if you don't see them, you're just kind of like working with what you got. And then this guy, like I said in my past videos, like this is just, it's the best over trigger, at least in my opinion. It's like the best over trigger in terms of you see it in any point of the game, you do not care. You see this on like your grade 1 swing, your grade 2 swing, or grade 3 swing, like literally any point in the game, it's still like, it's still live. It's still live no matter what. It doesn't require you to have any rear guards of any sorts. So you know, that's basically the reason why I am running that over trigger. Before I get into the other deck profiles, go into my matchups real quick. I got this. Shit. I think like my first 3 rounds were like no. First round was Bafsagra. I won that game. Like I said, I resolved the Gooman combo, and he just didn't have enough cards in hand to guard all the attacks. Let me see here. Round 2 was Magnolia. I took that L pretty hard. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't soul charge. I didn't get to soul charge 15 on the first grade 3 ride, and that just kind of like, it really hurt me, especially since he did have like not like too established of a board, but like an established enough of a board. Like if I did it, it would set him back. Round 3 was Magnolia again. I did take that one, and then I think everything just went according to plan on that one. Yeah, everything went according to plan on that one. That I did was, again, I resolved the Gooman. I think I resolved it twice. Yeah, I resolved Gooman twice. Like the first time I resolved it, it like literally took away most of his hand. And then the second time I resolved it, it won me the game. And then round 5 was Seraph Snow. I really didn't have much that game. Like I had enough to just get me to 15, but he really didn't have a hand at all. So that just kind of like got me there. I think I got a crit, and that just ended the game right there. And like very unexpectedly too. I'm like, damn, like I beat you right there. Like that's crazy. And like he went first and everything. And then round 6 was Bruce. I'm not gonna lie, like I didn't let him play the game at all. I checked the over trigger. I like put him to 5, made him waste a PG because I put him to 5 because I still had rear guard attack. And like I said, like I just completely out advantaged him. He didn't even get to grade 4. And yeah, I also went first that game. So those were my 6 rounds. Hold on, you lost twice. What else did you lose to? Oh yeah, another Magnolia. So I lost to 2 Magnolias. That second Magnolia, I lost because of the mistake I made of shoving 2 crits into the soul. He was at 0 damage. I should have known the game was going to go on longer than I expected, so I should have been playing for the long game, but I just had my brain wired, man. Now I'm like, I gotta, go fast, and that really wasn't the correct play in that moment. So that was really the only play I regretted, and let's get on to the rest of the decks. I mean, I don't want this to be like an Eon-sized video, so... like I said, like I really liked the way the deck flowed. The only thing that I would have changed was the Keely Ludleys. I would probably put Electro Spartan, or maybe I would put like 2 Persona Rides. Just be like, I don't know. Persona Ride feels like a win more card, just because I don't know, like having this and just like having the ability just for like for these two cards, I feel like these are just a game winning by themselves. But getting into our seat B, my friend played Bastion. He chose to play Bastion. He really liked Bastion, which is kind of funny because he sold me his Bastion and Keter Sanctuary cards, and then he bought it again. So, I don't know, I just thought it was kind of funny. A little bit of an unconventional, well, depends on who you ask, kind of like an unconventional Bastion deck. Like I said, we were just kind of like building our decks more geared to a best of one format, to whereas we're just kind of like trying to out aggress you, or like have the you have the ability to basically win as early as possible. So for the Bastions, he was only playing three prime, and then he was playing 3 of the grade 3 Bastion. I don't know why he was playing 3 prime. He never like went over it with us. He was like, I guess he was like in his mind, he'd rather have all the other grade 3s at max at 4 copies, I think was his mentality. But he was only running 3 prime, and it worked for him, to be honest. Like, he only lost twice in the event, you know, just like me. There was times, like, I think there was like a game, like 2 games that he won on grade 3 Bastion. He didn't even get a chance to go to grade 4. But for the rest of the grade 3s, he's running 4 Alden. You know, this is like the pot of greed of the deck. There's really not much to say about that card. And then he was also running, like I said, we were building our decks more geared to a best of one format. He was playing 4 Lagriel. Now, the really good thing about Lagriel was that, or at least what I found, was there was a lot of positions to whereas if Lagriel checked a crit on his drive check, he just kind of won the game, or at least in testing that or like the games that I've seen in play and in play testing, if he checked a crit on the Lagriel and got to restand the Lagriel, he's swinging twice of a crit, he just kind of won. Or like being able to win, that was like one of the plays that would let him win on turn 3, or like also on turn 4. And then he was playing 4 Refluke. This is actually like I wasn't playing this in my list personally, but this was actually working very well for him. Because there was, what he would do is he would put Refluke into Soul, pump up the Alden, and then Alden would be swinging like for, it's like 20. He'd be swinging for like 30 on his first turn, on his first grade 3 ride. Alden would be swinging first for 30. And then like that was just like a really good number, that because you would need, like, if you don't have a front trigger, you need 2 cards to guard that. So most of the time, like, to whereas it would only be swinging for like 20 or 25, and your opponent could like throw out a 15 or like a 10k, it's like 30, to whereas they don't want to take it, they have to take it, and if they don't want to take it and they don't have to front, it's 2 cards to guard. And then also another differential that he was playing the Dark Strain over the Order. Like I said, it worked for him because it was very easy to combo Refluke and Dark Strain to get the boost on his grade 3 ride to just swing for damage, to be honest. And that's really what made Bastion good. That's really what made Bastion good in the first place, just because like the restand on top of the really good numbers it makes on the grade 3 ride. And then for the last grade 3 he played, this is just like This is just like mandatory, in my opinion at least, that you really do have to play 4 of this card. Like, you really do need the shield in this deck. That's my only argument with Bastion. I love Bastion. I love the idea of Bastion because no other deck really does what Bastion does with the grade 3s. But it just really doesn't have shield. So you really need to maximize on your shield cards. And then he was running that. 4 PGs, really not much to say there. On to the triggers. 4 heal. He was running 8 crit and 3 draw and like Keter Sanctuary over trigger. What he told me was that he preferred the draws over the fronts because he didn't find the fronts useful outside of shield. And to me, that was like the most useful part of the front. I'm like, man, you don't want that shield? I want that shield. I would kill for that shield. But it worked for him, to be honest. It helped him draw into his pieces. And like I said, our decks were geared more for a best of one format. So honestly, it worked out very smoothly for him, and I doubt he would change anything. Or I could be like completely lying. I don't know. It seems like a really solid deck. Like at first, I had no idea what he was playing, like, because he didn't really get much testing in with us. But you know, how much testing do you really need with Bastion? But like from looking at this, it's a very solid list in my opinion. And I don't know his matchups. I didn't ask. I was the only one that really wrote down their matchups. But if anything, I'd probably ask them, and if they remember, I could put them in the comment section down below. But our last team member was playing. He was not gonna come here with any other deck. His favorite deck is Overdress Nirvana. And yeah, like he wasn't gonna come here with any other deck, and we literally play tested every build under the sun. And like what we came what conclusion we came to was just like a more like a beat down version of Nirvana, like to whereas if I kind of like if I aggress you so hard that if I have like at least 1 or 2 restanders on my turn 4, you just kind of lose. Well, at least that's the way it came up. Or like I put you in a position to whereas you could guard everything, but if I flip the over trigger, you just kind of lose. But that's what he was playing, and he was actually the only member in our team that did go X1. Like he only dropped 1 game. I think it was like snow, but like that's because they saw the nuts. Like he knows the snow matchup. He knows what to do and what not to do. But like they saw the nuts. They saw like 4 of the card that like binds from the top, and like they just ripped like so many good cards out of his deck, like heals. I think he said like they ripped some heals, and then like a I don't remember what else, but like they ripped heals out of his deck. But I have this set up to where he ran 4 of the grade 4 Nirvana. This is the whole deck, so obviously you want to max out on 4 copies of it. And then getting into the Overdress cards, he is maxing out on 4 copies of Trickstar. He isn't running Trickstar as a starter because he prefers the draw. He feels like that 1 draw really does help if he does go second. And if he sees at least 1 Trickstar, you know, he's really not he's able to play the game. Because all he really needs to do is overdress 1 unit. Like his other units don't really need to be overdressed as long as he can do it the 1 time. So at least that was like the theory we went into this event. 4 copies of the grade 4. The grade 4 of Arena. Like I said, like he was originally playing 3 because he found like it clogged from time to time. But it's really important that you see 1, and preferably you want to see 2 on your turn 4, because like I said, like playtesting the deck, playing with the deck myself, there was times that I feel like if you just establish 2 of these, you burn your opponent to 5. It feels like you win, or you decimate your opponent's hand so much that they really can't come back. And even if they are able to blow up your units, like if you have like any if you blow on them next turn, they die, you're dead. So that's why we were maxing out on 4 copies of the grade 4, and then 4 copies of Arcs. It is your draw power / cycle power of the deck. Preferably want to see this on turn 2 and turn 3. Sometimes on the following turns, but depending on it depends on your hand and what you see. But that's the reason why you're maxing out for Arcs. Really nothing really going there. And then we're playing 4 Urger, but not for the reason that you think. So most of the time, like 99% of the time, we didn't use Urger for the counter charge. We just used Urger for the pure beatdown. Like we would overdress on top of Urger on turn 2 and just swing 20 to face. And like the beautiful thing about Urger is if they don't have retire, if you're not playing against snow and they don't have control, they can't, most of the time they can't attack over this. Or if they attempt to, you could probably just shell out a 5k shield. Because it's sitting at 20 on both turns, and it's also a 15k interceptor in case you were lacking the shield to begin with. So that's why we're maxing out at 4 copies, and it is also just a very good card to have on your turn 4. Like I said, if you can't set up the 2 grade 4s, just having an Urger in 1 column and then 1 grade 4, this is 30 by itself, 38 with a booster. So it's just a really excellent card that's the reason why we are maxing it out on 4. And then for the last Overdress units, playing 2 Expectorata. He swears by this card. Like, he would not play less than 2 of this card. He thought about it. He played 1, but then he just never saw it. Or, like, he did see it, and then, like, he'd have to discard it. But the reason that he's playing 2 of this card is just really good. It's just a really good, solid play turn 3 and up. Or even sometimes, if he feels like his opponent doesn't have the PG, he's going to overdress this on top of the grade 4, and then it just gains massive power and a crit. So that's why we're playing it at 2. It's just a very flexible card. It can go on top of everything you have overdressed in the deck. So, and it's also, you could fish it from the drop zone, so it's really not that big of a deal. So that's why he's playing 2 copies of that. And then he's just playing 1 copy of the Verena. The reason we decided on 1 copy of the Verena, or like he decided, I tried 2, but he was always swore by 1 Verena, because his logic was, if he got to search it, that's cool, now I have pitch fodder. But if he didn't get to search it, that's also cool, because now I have that extra soul to be able to more consistently soul blast for my restanders. So that was his logic into it. And honestly, we never felt like we needed extra copies of Verena. The retire was nice at times, but it just came up in fringe scenarios. And then our only booster really we're playing besides Trickstar is 3 of Monk Pole. I don't know his real name, so I'm just gonna call him Monk Pole because he has a pole. Like I said, this just lets you fish for any overdress unit in the drop zone. If you're on grade 4, it's basically free if you have an open counterblast. So if like the grade 4s do clog you in the early game, you can afford to pitch 1 knowing that you'll just get it back. So like it's just like really good. Because we wanted to max out on certain cards like Urger, and we wanted to tech in the Expecta, like we won't have room for 3 copies, but I feel like 3 is the perfect number. Like I feel like more than 3 would clog and you wouldn't really like need it. But on to the rest of the deck. 4 PGs, there's really not much to say there. 2 different art heals, he just likes it that way. 2 different art crits. 4 soul charge crit. This is actually very important in the deck. Like I said, like you can tend to run out of soul very quickly, and this just becomes a play extender for your restands. So that's another reason to max out on 4 copies of this crit. But 8 crit, like I said, we were just playing more for a best of 1 format, to where we were just trying to push it in as fast and as consistently as possible. And then 3 draw triggers. His idea here was that if he didn't see the arcs, then the draws would come in more handy as that extra utility of trying to dig for his pieces, because that's usually what he would use arcs for, is to dig for his pieces. But if he didn't see arcs, that's what he would usually draw for. If he did see arcs, that's cool, but it's just another avenue to try and see his other overdress units in the deck, because Nirvana is a very combo heavy deck. And then the Dragon Empire Overtrigger, there's really nothing much to say. Like this, like I said, like this just polishes off wins sometimes if you do have the double 4 play, or like maybe even if you have 1, if your opponent's hand is really not that, like it's strong enough to survive the turn, but if you got a restand out of nowhere, they just lose. So that's why we were playing that Overtrigger. And like I said, he had the best record out of all of us. He only went X1. It was me and my other friend that was player B that went X2. So technically it's our fault that we didn't do higher than 16. But don't forget to like, comment, subscribe down below. Let me know what you want to see in the future, like any decks. I'm working on some Token Rambu decks, even though I literally just deleted the match videos. I'm still gonna do the deck profile though, but I deleted the match videos. But yeah, later.